Got 32 minutes.
That's plenty.
This is Good Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. Across from me is Mr. Charles Chuck Thompson. Charlie, how you doing today, except for being sleep-deprived and sick and all kinds of terrible stuff like that?
Doing great.
Are you doing okay other than that?
We were talking about in the pre-show whether or not dinosaurs are real.
Yeah, I've never seen one in person.
So, well, then is God real? Have you ever seen God?
Never, I got to read the studies on that. I got to see what the scientists say about that.
Yeah. I think in this day and age, you don't really need to do that. You just talk about things.
So you have faith in dinosaurs.
Hey, look, I got to tell you.
That's what you're saying.
You asked a question. Has anybody ever heard of, when digging a skyscraper or something? Apparently, Eve is saying here in the live group that canal building in England is what started the science of geology.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like that it did come from just digging.
I always wanted to find the fossil, the fully intact dinosaur, and sweep away the dirt and sand around it with a paintbrush,
so you can touch it,
like on Jurassic Park. The way that starts, I've always wanted to do that, and I just never found one.
I forgot about Jurassic Park. Of course, dinosaurs are real.
Well, yeah,
they made a movie about it.
I saw the movie.
Yeah.
So, got to be real. Anyhow, if you've had close contact with dinosaurs, let us know. Send us an email, charlie@goodmorningliberty.us. We got a few things to talk about in a fairly short amount of time. First off, I want to tell you, watch this new show on Netflix called American Primeval, and it was good. Okay? It's good. I would recommend it to people. You might not love the ending of it or whatever, but it's a good show. It's set in the mid 1800s or so. If you're Mormon, you'll really, really hate the show. For sure, you'll hate it. But it's concerning a couple people that are trying to get west. And I'll tell you what, if going west was 5% as hard as it's shown in this, depicted in this show,
you would have stayed put.
I would stay right there.
Yeah,
would not have gone west afterwards. It looked really terrible.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's directed by Peter Berg, who did Lone Survivor. And he did the Painkiller show on Netflix and Friday Night Lights and a bunch of good stuff. He's good. It's a good show.
I saw a picture once. I don't know if this is true, but I saw a picture that apparently all the wagons that went out west, they were able to carve about a 5-inch canal through the rock. There are that many wagons.
Wow,
that traveled the same.
Did they find any dinosaurs?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, see. Strike one.
Maybe that was part of the danger, though.
Yeah.
Dysentery, dinosaur encounters.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple things, as I said, to talk about. Start off with some good news here. We did miss White Pill Wednesday, and I did want to start off with some good news. It does appear that there is a deal between Israel and Hamas for a temporary ceasefire / could lead to a longer ceasefire. People hope, it's the end to the war. I'm not so optimistic when it comes to that. Let's see. It's got 3 phases. 42-day ceasefire where they're going to be releasing 33 hostages that are held, and Israel's going to release 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. Now that, just so you know, I would have an issue with that if I were a Palestinian or anyone like that, because that kind of shows you the trading value of different human beings depending on what your ethnicity is or race or whatever, whatever it is you want to call it, where you're like, Israelis are that much more valuable than you, and you are agreeing to that also. Just so you know, if you want more than 33, you're agreeing that these people are worth way more than your people. Anyhow, so it's a good thing that hostages would be released. Some of these are going to be dead. They've got 90 or so, they said, but some of them are dead. And so we're not going to be real sure about that. Israeli forces would reduce their presence in the densely populated areas of Gaza during the initial ceasefire. The deal includes plans for further troop withdrawals and subsequent phases, although the specifics, particularly in areas like the corridor Netzarim, I don't know how to say that. Reem, I don't know how you say that.
Yeah.
Remains to be finalized. So
it's Middle Eastern,
I don't understand those words. Just say it right, okay? the interesting part about this, which a lot of people have been talking about, is that this deal is not some new deal that they just came to. Like, they've been working on it and going back and forth. This deal is like the same as it's been for the last 8 or 9 months. And the thing that changed with this deal is that Donald Trump got elected president and started jawboning, and he sent an envoy with his incoming, ambassador to the Middle East, or whatever they want to call it, to go meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. Because the issue really with this deal was that Israel didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do the deal. Hamas has been like, yeah, okay, we'll do this deal. That's fine. We'll get a bunch of our people. You get some of your people. We'll take this deal. But Israel has been saying no. And Trump has been coming in saying, I want this thing done. On day one, you guys are not fighting when I come into office. Now
Biden gets credit for this, though.
And so it's a nice little segue into a few videos. Biden is taking credit for it, and people are trying to give him credit for it. But so the right wing in Israel is upset about this deal. They're not happy about it because it's not like a complete, total, unconditional surrender by Hamas. They want it inked in there that everyone in Hamas is going to kill themselves when they sign the deal, basically. Yeah. And so they're unhappy about it.
Mm-hmm. This deal doesn't include walkie-talkies.
And they specifically, they blame Trump. Like, they're mad at Trump for essentially forcing them to take this deal. And but Biden doesn't like that. He wants to make sure he gets credit. And there's a couple clips here of him wanting that.
After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas.
Does anybody believe this?
The elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year.
Now, he just said he laid out all the details of this deal in May of this year. And they've just been negotiating so hard during this time. And it just so happens.
It's a coincidence that Trump sent people.
Yeah. Trump comes out. He says that there's going to be hell to pay if this thing isn't done by the time I come into office. Now, he's kind of threatening Hamas at that time. And I don't know how much more hell the people in Gaza can pay. Like, it's like you're talking to someone who's in hell, and you're like, there's going to be hell to pay if you
something
if you
that
don't
worries
do
me
thing.
Though. Did you see? I think it was in the same speech or interview. Trump was talking about potentially going to war with Iran.
Well, there is speculation that one of the ways...
Did it work? Did the intelligence community, did it work that they were alleging that Iran was spying on him, and so now
trying
Trump,
to kill him?
Yeah, and trying to kill him, so now Trump does want to go after them?
I'm a
little concerned.
There's speculation because they don't know the complete details of how Trump got Benjamin Netanyahu to finally accept this deal. But there's speculation...
Accept the deal. We'll bomb Iran.
Has said that he would help them bomb Iran's nuclear sites. And so that's speculation. They don't know that for sure, but they're like, what did they get in exchange that they wouldn't have gotten 8-9 months ago? Like, what is it that Trump has told them? Is it, West Bank situation, or is it that they're going to help them with strikes against Iran? We don't really know exactly what that is. We'll see. For right now, it's a good thing that, let's finish by this was in his farewell address last night, which I barely brought anything in from that because honestly, who cares? Like, this is basically a dead man talking right now, and it sounded like that too. He used the word dangerous. I heard clips. He was saying dangerous, but it sounded like he was saying Danish. And I kept trying to figure out why he was talking about Danish stuff the whole time.
Greenland.
We were saying dangerous. And Greenland. That's what it was.
This plan was developed and negotiated by my team, and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans.
Yeah. The thing is,
we believe you.
It's just... Something changed here. Oh, he had a nice little snippy comment back to a reporter that asked him about this.
Who gets credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Let's start that again.
Who gets credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
The reporter said no. Is that a joke? No.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to answer the question.
Yeah.
No, it's the same deal that's been sitting there on the desk the whole time. Listen, Trump is a negotiator. There's no telling what he said to people behind closed doors. The fact is that he is good at negotiation. And
I do have a question, though. Isn't there something preventing someone who's not president from making deals?
So, I don't know specifically. I know that Obama started doing this before he took office, and there is a law about this. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it the Logan Act? Maybe I can't remember which one it is.
Something like that. Yeah.
But Obama did it before he took office, and they kind of let that slide because it's the incoming administration. I think it's essentially understood that this is the person who's about to be in power. And I don't know if that's written into the law. I have seen people mention, I think it is Logan Act violations.
But I think the reason he's sending other people is because, like, he can't go himself. Like, he can't go to Greenland.
Well, he's a convicted felon. I'm not even sure he can. You know,
he's on the no-fly list.
He can't do that anyway. So, let's see. One more thing. This is the spokesperson.
Oh, yeah, we never talked about his sentencing.
No. The spokesperson for the State Department. Let's see what they had to say.
Comes to the involvement of President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line. And it's been critical because, obviously, as I stand here today, this administration's term in office will expire in 5 days. And one of the things that we have always said about this deal is that when you get from stage 1 to stage 2, that the United States, Egypt, and Qatar are the guarantors of this deal. And Egypt and Qatar will push Hamas.
I don't like saying it like Qatar. Is that really how you're supposed to say it? Can we talk about I've always, like, my whole life until 2 years ago,
Qatar.
people always said Qatar, you know? And I feel like the memo went out to everyone that you say Qatar.
Qatar.
And I get it.
Yeah.
You know, I get that might be the
Egypt
actual way to say
Qatar.
it. One of my favorite things about this whole Trump is good at negotiation thing. Let me explain one of the best ways he negotiated this. And I don't know why I've been so obsessed with how cool. I don't know why this is cool to me, okay? But Trump got Benjamin Netanyahu to meet on a Saturday. He sent his special envoy there, and they called him up. They're like, yeah, we're going to be there tomorrow morning. And they're like, well, we can't tomorrow morning. It's the Sabbath.
He's like, no, you can't.
And he's like, no, we're meeting tomorrow morning. And they did it. Okay? And so imagine that in a negotiation scenario where you get someone like this is Israel. This is the prime minister of Israel. This is the Sabbath. We don't do this business on the Sabbath. And you start this conversation from, you're going to give up on one of your most strongly held principles that you have so you can talk to me about this negotiation today. You take that out of there, and then they start negotiating afterwards.
What is
You're
Trump,
already like in the corner, you know, weeping and crying inside.
What is Trump threatening? Like, we'll back Hamas if you don't. Like, what? Obviously, they believe him. Whatever his threats are, whatever his negotiation tactics are, they obviously believe him. I'm just trying to think of what, if I was Trump, like, what would I threaten to get them to always agree with what I want? Like, what is he threatening?
There is a flip side to this. Someone on the left, a Democrat, would say, well, they were always going to accept this deal. They just wanted to wait until Trump was coming into office. That way they could help make Trump look better because they like Trump and they were already going to take this deal. I think I don't know. That could be some of it. That's a valid theory, I feel like. Don't know for sure that that's the case. I don't know what he would have threatened, honestly, other than cutting off weapons. I mean, we send them a lot of weapons and we send them a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And that could have been one of them. Or he could have just explained to them that, hey, this is going nowhere. You're not going to win this thing. My biggest issue with this, other than the fact that like 50,000 people have been killed and a bunch of them are women and children, and there's also a such thing as an innocent man as well. I keep trying to make that point because they're like half of which are women and children. I'm like, not all men are guilty of terrorism. Okay, so there were also innocent men that were killed.
Hey, something more important, though.
Just
found out, thanks to the live group. Back to our conversation about Qatar.
Yeah.
Apparently, someone in the live group, their buddy is a military linguist, and it's Qatar.
Qatar.
So
I'm I prefer that.
I'm glad we
it's more
settled that. What were you talking about? Hostages dying and stuff?
Yeah, no, the people in Gaza dying, Palestinians dying.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever you're supposed to. Yeah, Palestinians dying. I think the official number right now is 46,000 souls lost, And
it's a big plane.
The thing is, they're not going to win this war because, as we know, for every person that you kill, you create a bunch more terrorists. I mean, we've been saying this the whole time. We haven't talked about this very much really at all. Because I know some people are kind of split on this issue and everything, and I don't think there's a solution to the issue. Like, Israel's going to exist, and they're going to be parked right there in their location that they're in. And as long as they're there, there's going to be fighting over this land. This is a land dispute, and the people are going to continue fighting over this land. And the more people get killed on either side, the more people are going to get killed on either side. And I see no actual solution to this. And at the time that Israel started just bombarding Gaza and just absolutely laying waste to this place and killing a bunch of innocent people, there was no way to win it unless you kill like every single person, because the survivors there are going to be, what do you think the statistical likelihood went from before October 7th and before the week after when they started bombing? What's the statistical likelihood of a person being like a quote unquote terrorist or whatever, to now, the people that are there, what's the statistical likelihood that they want to attack Israel?
Their mother was blown up.
Their parents got killed. Their children got killed, or whatever, vice versa. Yeah, I think it's a much more dangerous scenario now, and so there is no way of winning this. And I don't know. Potentially, that was explained to Netanyahu as well. I just wanted to make sure we talk about the fact that he made him meet on the Sabbath. I mean, seriously. That's one of the most baller moves I've ever heard, honestly. Making the prime minister of Israel meet on the Sabbath is like up at the top of my list of negotiating tactics.
So now the prime minister is going to hell, you're saying?
Yeah.
He worked on the Sabbath.
Nothing you can do about it now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a absolutely awful situation. I see it as a no-win scenario. But the good thing about this ceasefire is that hopefully people will stop dying from bombs during this time. That's a good thing. Less people dying. We're kind of against death here for the most part. And I think that's a good thing. Is it going to stick? Is it going to work? Is it going to last a long time? I don't know. No clue. No clue. They still got American hostages over there too,
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 of them.
Well, we talked about from the beginning, like, there has to be a better way to do this stuff. Okay, let's just go from the events of October 7th. Hamas killed like 1,700 Jews. Israel has the right to defend itself, but not kill 46,000 in return.
Well, you do have a right to defend yourself, but this is not defense.
Right.
Like that. You go after
the threat is now over, and you go after the people who committed the crimes.
And now they're doing pre-crime at the moment. They're killing people that might be terrorists potentially someday, or what, and it's like, what's a terrorist in this scenario? There's so many people that have legitimate grievances.
They're just
with
walking
Israel.
the streets doing like the terrorist smell test.
Does this
block smell like terrorism?
Like,
Drop a bomb here.
It stopped being defense like a week after October 7th. It was defense like right then, It's especially defense when you're attacking the people that have crossed over into your border and are killing people. Like that is specifically defense that you're doing. And then maybe you try and go after the people that committed it because you saw where they scurried back off to, and then maybe you try to go in and get the hostages, which should have been the number one thing that they tried to do. And they should have been more willing to risk their own lives to go rescue the hostages than to risk the lives of 50,000 human beings on the other side. So none of them get killed. Yeah, I do think that should be a principle that's held. And this is not defense. This is offense. And it's going to create a bigger problem. There might be a little cessation of hostilities for a little bit, but people are going to find ways to get their bombs or their guns or whatever back into Gaza, and they're going to get their group together, and they're going to do something else again sometime in the future.
Well, and this has been going on for a couple thousand years, so.
Yeah, it's that's what I said. It's not going to stop. It's unless Israel is like, all right, we're moving. Give us the U-Haul trucks. We're out of here. Then there's probably no more fighting between them. But that's not gonna happen. And so this is going to continue. No. It's just always going to, even if you kill all the people in Gaza or whatever, there's more people. There's other countries that are next to them, and they're filled with people that are also upset with this.
Yep.
Okay.
Speaking of death.
Yeah. I found this interesting and sad. It's bad.
It's happening in Canada, too.
Yeah, this is from the Toronto Sun. It says close to 15,500 people died waiting for health care in Canada in 2023 to 2024. So in a year there, over 15,000 people. But wait, there's more. The number's actually a lot higher, just so you guys know. So we know that waiting between April 1st, 2023 and March 2024, according to data compiled by secondstreet.org via Freedom of Information Act requests across the country. However, secondstreet.org says the exact number of a little over 15,000 is incomplete because Quebec, Alberta, Newfoundland, and Labrador don't track the problem, and Saskatchewan and Nova Scotia only provided data on patients who die while waiting for surgeries, not diagnostic scans. So some pretty large, heavily populated areas don't even track this or report these kind of numbers. So they say if they extrapolate out this unknown data, then the estimated number is 28,000 patients that died last year on a waiting list. This is people that are waiting for anything from cancer treatment, heart operations, cataract surgeries, MRI scans. Now, I don't know if you die from waiting for a cataract surgery. Yeah. That's not a thing. But that's
unless you get hit by a bus or something.
Who's on the waiting list.
You can't see anymore. Yeah. So you get hit by a bus.
What if we report on this and it turns out like these are people that had a car accident, but they also happen to be on a healthcare? This is like they died with a waiting list, not from the waiting list. Yeah. Like with COVID.
Yep.
No, I'm pretty sure it's people that were waiting for healthcare and they couldn't get it. Quote, Canadians pay really high taxes, and yet our healthcare system is failing when compared to better performing universal systems in Europe.
So they still want universal
systems.
They
still want just better universal.
The European system.
They need more taxes. You know what? I bet they don't do a good enough job taxing the rich over there. Have they tried taxing the rich people there and making sure the government has enough money?
Man, I listened to that Pierre Poilievre interview with Jordan Peterson from like a week ago.
Was it good?
It was really good, yeah. It sounds like he's going to be the next prime minister. Like
Very possible.
It's almost decided, I guess. Yep. But doesn't the Conservative Party have to gain majority or something?
They have to get majority, and then they select their leader. Yeah. I think that's the way that works, and whatever stupid system they have over there.
He was talking a little bit about taxes there, and it's something, I mean, they pay like 55% or 60% or something like that. Like over half your income goes to taxes. And then housing costs are like 4 times as high as the U.S. It's insane. Canada seems to be worse.
So the moral
economically right now than we are.
The moral of the story here is that you see this in Canada and the UK, where people have to wait a long time, not just to get their treatment, but just to see a specialist and figure out what's going on. They have to wait a long time just to get an MRI or something like that when you think there's some kind of an issue going on. And the important point of this, which I'm sure most people listening already know, is that there are trade-offs. And that when you provide something for what they call free or universal health care, which means everyone has access to it. By the way, also, thanks to one of our ex-friends, not someone who used to be a friend. I'm talking about a friend on X, just so you know.
Yeah, the social media platform.
The media. It used to be called Twitter.
Yeah.
For letting me also know that a large portion of Canadians also have their own private insurance to cover things that the government doesn't cover in their universal healthcare system. So that's interesting as well. There's a trade-off. When you provide something universally to everyone, paid for by the government who takes the money from the people, there are shortages. There's always some kind of shortage. Now,
this is just an economic problem.
In the U.S., something that happens is people die who can't afford to get treatment for whatever their problem is. And when the whole Luigi thing happened, where Brian Thompson got killed, CEO of United, when that happened, people were like, this many people die every single year because they can't afford health care. And so you're upset about one insurance CEO getting killed when the official number is 48,000 people died because they can't afford some kind of healthcare treatment for something in the U.S.
or something.
Yeah. And so that's the number I found all over the place. Well, okay, so you go to Universal System and you find that 28,000 people died because the system sucks so much they couldn't get the health care that they needed. There is no perfect system, and there is always a trade-off. In the U.S., you wait
with an
way
almost
less
90% less population.
Yeah, well, so the thing is, I did the math on that. Per capita, and if you use this number, the 28,000, it would be 0.08% of Canada's population dies per year waiting for health care for too long. And in the U.S., the number would be 0.01% die because they could not afford whatever the treatment was they needed, which means the universal healthcare system in Canada is 8 times more deadly than the unaffordable healthcare system is in the United States.
Oh, there you go.
As far as people who could get treatment that weren't able to get treatment. In Canada, it happens because there's too many people online. And in the U.S., it can happen because it's too expensive. But those are the options of everyone having something perfectly provided to them at all times.
Too.
It's also too expensive because I think 70% of the population has some kind of private healthcare insurance as well to try and get things that the government won't provide to them. And so I just think that that's a very important point to make to people, that even in these systems that people point to, actually, per capita, those free universal systems are killing a larger percentage of their population just by way of being inefficient than our system is killing just by way of being unaffordable. And so there's your last point of the day. Let's go, Charlie.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got more, but I feel like you got a lot of stuff going on over there, and
yeah.
So we can wrap it up.
All right, y'all. Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share the show with a friend, a family member, or foe. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just go do it. Nike that shit.
Just go do it. Yeah.
Exactly. Go to GodHatesFeds.com or join gmail.com to be part of Fed Haters Club. And visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. We appreciate it if you would do that. And if you do all those things, we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning. Libertas.